everyone, it's V from Motherhood with Me and welcome to today's vlog, common postnatal side effects and how I dealt with them and what my experience was. So the first common postnatal after effect is uterine cramps. So basically your uterus contracts and goes back to its sort of original shape and size, and these are felt apparently as like strong period type cramps. I have heard that these are brought on more by breastfeeding, and I didn't breastfeed, but I did not feel these at all really. I wasn't aware of them. I have heard people say that they get worse with each child potentially, or for them they got worse with each child. And I don't know whether it's because I was on regular pain medication after giving birth because of my different birth injuries and the trauma that my body had been through. I needed regular pain medication, so maybe that masked the cramps, but my experience with uterine cramps is that I didn't notice them. So the second common, or I think everyone goes through this, whether you've given birth vaginally or a cesarean, is postnatal bleeding, which is called lochia. So I obviously did experience this, and actually it was a lot lighter, a lot quicker than I was expecting. So I think my bleeding lasted 3 to 4 weeks, but within about a week it was really quite light. For the first week I'd say it was very heavy. I was actually using 2 pads to like cover the whole of my knickers, basically front to back. But very quickly it became a lot lighter and a lot more irregular as well. I didn't notice any blood clots. Some people pass blood clots, and that's something that your midwife will want to keep an eye on, and you should let them know if you pass any large clots. The bleeding for me wasn't so bad. The first week was really like maybe a period, heaviness wise, and then after that it was like a really light period for another couple of weeks, and then pretty much spotting. But I would say by 4 weeks it was pretty much gone, and I got my regular period back at 7 weeks postpartum. So the next thing is basically a lot of emotions and baby blues. So I definitely experienced a lot of emotions, and I don't know why it is, but day 3 is the most emotion heavy. I think I pretty much just cried the whole day, and I even had Johnny crying as well. But that did rapidly get better as each day went on. Definitely say the first week hormone wise very heavy, lots of crying, but that was a combination of the trauma of giving birth and the pain that I was in and everything like that as well. But I don't think I actually had the baby blues, which is really common. I wouldn't say that I felt down or depressed, and I was really happy with Luca and my new family. I didn't feel overwhelmed in that sense. I was just struggling with my recovery, but I think that's different to the baby blues. So I definitely experienced high emotions and a lot of crying in that first week, but I think definition wise it wouldn't really come under baby blues. Another really common postnatal side effect is having hot flashes, particularly during the night. I would say that I ran a bit hotter, but I wasn't aware of any like proper hot flashes. But I think this is something that's getting rid of like the excess fluid that you have, because I remained swollen for 6 weeks. Like my feet and ankles remained swollen for 6 weeks. But the way that I think my body expelled that, rather than like sweat and hot flushes, was just ginormous wheeze, because I was just doing these huge wheeze several times a day, way bigger than I'd ever do before. And I actually think that was my body's way of expelling the excess fluid. So I definitely wasn't aware of like having hot flashes at night. The next thing that most women will experience after giving birth is your milk coming in. Now, I never intended to breastfeed, so I wasn't like paying close attention to this. I bottle fed from the start, but a few days after giving birth, one morning I got up and there was a huge wet patch on the bed, and I realised it was basically that my milk had come and had soaked the bed. But for me, this was actually a really painless process, because I was really worried that I was going to get like blocked up and really sore, and it was going to take a long time to resolve. But actually I did have sore boobs for about 24 to 48 hours, and then the milk just seemed to go. have any intense pain. It wasn't a long process. I used breast pads and they weren't like filling up much at all. I wasn't needing to change them regularly, and the milk just seemed to be gone really quickly. Within a couple of weeks I'd say it was completely gone, but I'd say it was really light after a few days. So that was something I was quite worried about. Like, everywhere else already hurt and I really didn't want super painful boobs on top of that. So thankfully that didn't happen. So if you are worried about like your milk coming in or your milk like drying up if you're not breastfeeding, it wasn't a painful process for me, so I really hope it's not for you. And the final lovely postnatal side effect that I wanted to talk about was hair loss. And again, this is really, really common because apparently you don't lose much hair or any hair during pregnancy, and then it all starts to shed when you're postnatal. This actually happened really late for me, so I didn't start to notice it until about 6 months postpartum. But when it started, my gosh, it started. There was hair everywhere. And to be honest, I feel like I'm now 7.5 months postpartum and it's only really just started to slow down. But I was losing clumps, and it's really, really sort of unnerving because you actually think you're going to go bald. You think, I can't be losing this much hair and like not have repercussions. But I can reassure you that I didn't get any bald patches, and despite the fact that it felt like there was so much hair coming out. So this is a really normal thing that happens. It's, you know, all part of the process, and you shouldn't be left with any bald patches. So that was my experience of all the different common things that you're likely to go through in your postnatal period. They're all really normal things that every woman will experience, and I just thought it would be good to share with you how I found these things, because you read a lot about like painful cramps or really heavy bleeding, or, you know, really sore boobs when your milk comes in, or losing loads of hair. And I wanted to reassure you that actually these things can be really mild or really manageable. Of course everyone's experience will be different, but hopefully this has reassured you that these things don't necessarily have to be so awful or difficult, and you will be absolutely fine. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been helpful. As always, please ask any questions in the comments or send me a message on Instagram. I'm always happy to chat about anything motherhood related. I'll see you in the next video.